Welcome, everybody, to the Cultural Non Sequitur Podcast. My name is Adam,
And I'm James.
and we're brothers with a generational gap. I'm 12 years older than James.
He looks it too.
Yeah. I remember I kept a journal back when you were first born.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was documenting everything that happened to you. And one of the journal entries that, Jimmy and Brent, our uncles, will definitely confirm this. I was writing in there, and I didn't know how to write circumcised on the third day. So I wrote surprised.
I imagine I was.
He was surprised on the third day of his life. That's what one of the journal entries. But yeah, so I'm Gen X, he's Gen Y. Or Gen Z, I'm sorry, Gen Y. I'm Gen X, he's Gen Z.
I just learned I was Gen Z today, to be honest with you.
Did you?
I never cared. It's part of being Gen Z. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Gen Xers are very proud to be in Gen X. Well, I'm a proud Gen Xer. This is just going to be one of those podcasts where we just sit here and talk. We both have being brothers. You know, by the time you start getting interesting, I left for college, so we didn't really grow up together.
No.
But we have different thoughts. We do kind of gel on a lot of things that are kind of. You know, we agree on some things. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. We agree on that. But then there's something I think, oh, he'll love this. And it's like, no, I didn't really like it. It's like, oh. So I thought we'd kind of start off. This is the first one. This is not scripted at all. We have I have a way to begin, and we're just going to flow into that. Again, cultural non sequitur. This is going to flow from one thing to another. So I want to start off with Bruce Willis.
Okay.
Bruce Willis is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he's very natural, humanistic actor. He never really tried to go beyond. He never did Hamlet or anything like that, but he just stuck to what he did, and he did it really well. And the fact that his health has gone down recently has really kind of, we were talking about this just a couple minutes ago. We're both getting older.
Right.
I'm almost 50. It's just like things happen, but it seems like and then I think about Val Kilmer. I watched that.
It's tragic. Yeah.
I watched that thing on the Val on was it Netflix or
No, Prime.
Prime.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was super good, man. I never knew that stuff about him, like documenting all these movies he's been in. And I've always liked him. I mean, so anyway, have you seen Top Secret?
That's one. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's been a long time.
It's so good. If you haven't seen
really
Top,
hammy, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's yes. If you haven't seen Top Secret with Val Kilmer, go watch it. It's awesome. But yeah, getting back to Bruce Willis, I remember Bruce Willis on Moonlighting with Sybil Shepherd back in the day. Mom loved that show, dude. She loved it, and I liked it too because he was in it. He was just this normal guy,
He started out with a kind of a drama background, and I think he was not the first choice at all for Die Hard.
No.
Because they didn't think he was really going to sell that action role, and of course he blew it out of the park.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, what I think you say he didn't really expand and go too crazy. He didn't do theater or anything like that. But I mean, he did. His range was there.
Yeah.
He got in, when he eventually got into more comedic roles, and I wouldn't say that Fifth Element was not necessarily a comedic role, but it had undertones of it. And it was a little less serious, and it was outside of his wheelhouse. And that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's another that when it came out wasn't just overly successful. And why, I don't know. I mean, Gary Oldman.
I don't know. I think people watch it, they go, "Oh, dude, Gary Oldman's in that."
And they just didn't place it back.
Yeah.
But overall, his range was always there. And when he got into comedy, he was just. By the time he got to the age he was at, he was past that point of kind of crap, So it was just like, that's what made it funny.
Yeah.
Like Cop Out is a good movie.
Yeah.
And, I mean, his downturn is definitely very sad.
He was in a movie with the Kim Basinger, and it was like a date night. She got a little tipsy and got drunk and went nuts, and he was kind of the straight guy in that. He was trying to keep her under control.
Mm-hmm. I cannot remember the name of that.
I can't either, but it was a really good movie, and I remember watching that with Mom too. 12 Monkeys.
Yes.
Okay, dude, 12 Monkeys is so good. And if you talk about range, that movie, and because he's funny in that, but he also has a depth in it, and he totally sells a guy.
He sells, yeah.
That is from the future that goes back and just says, "I just got to collect stuff. I just got to collect stuff." By the end, he's going, "No, I think I maybe am crazy." You know, it's he goes through the entire gambit of growth in that movie.
Well, he sells the I'm crazy, but I don't know I'm crazy. The fractured mind concept that steadily gets worse all the way through, and you see the progression of it. And that was another one I was going to bring up, because that was kind of in the string. He was Fifth Element, 12 Monkeys. There's another that came through at around that same point. He kind of blew up in that little piece of the 90s.
Last Boy Scout was a big one.
Last Boy Scout was a big one too. Yeah. Not my favorite, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's another movie he did. I can never remember the name of it. It's like one of the worst movies ever made. but it's funny at the same time. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'll give him this too. Unfortunately, he's brought a visibility to a disease I'd never even heard of.
I had no idea.
Never heard of aphasia.
I might have heard of it, but I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just looking at his movies. It's going to drive me nuts. Armageddon. He's in Pulp Fiction. You know.
Yeah, Armageddon.
The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, and Pulp Fiction's another one that I think. I think he had a desire to be in. I don't think it's so much that Tarantino initially went after him. I think he knew Tarantino and read the script. Originally he wanted to go after Vincent Vega. He wanted that role.
Yeah.
And they had already looked at Travolta, which I'm so glad they went that route, because I just can't even picture that at this point.
Yeah, I know.
But the role he played was perfect for him in that movie. But yeah, he just had a string of them there through the 90s.
Yeah, another one was I just had it. Where was it? Sixth Sense, of course, and Unbreakable.
Yeah, Unbreakable's an interesting one, because
I loved Unbreakable.
Well, that one had to grow on me a little bit, because anything, and this is not Bruce Willis related, but anything M. Night Shyamalan, to me, I never love it the first time I see it. I have to see it again and not necessarily understand it better, but I have to process it differently than I did the first time. Because every time I go into a movie that's hyped up to be a thriller, I expect a certain level of surprise internally, for myself. And when I don't get it, I'm usually a little disappointed. But when I have the time to go back at it without that lens and just kind of process it a little bit differently, I'm like, okay, I can appreciate the nuance of it. Like, I just rewatched Signs the other day.
Yeah, okay.
I still can't say I love that movie, but I like it a little better every time I watch it.
I don't like that movie.
Well, and that's fair.
I don't.
I think it's hammy as all get out. Mel Gibson's acting is terrible.
Yeah.
But in general, cycling back to anything M. Night Shyamalan, the reason I struggle with it is because his dialogue is terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not organic. It's not how normal people talk. No. The Happening with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
One of the worst movies ever made. Marky Mark delivering just the stupidest dialogue.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault.
No.
That's my point. It was written to be stupid.
Yeah.
He's in a room with a plastic ficus, talking to it, going and analyzing his dialogue as he stands. I'm talking to a plastic plant. What's wrong with me? I must be going crazy. I don't know exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But this was written by him. I
know. Somebody had to sit down with a keyboard and wrote this.
I think we're one of the few that, once again, Bruce Willis movie, The Sixth Sense, was by far M. Night Shyamalan's most successful movie.
Yeah.
Like 600 million or something like that. I mean, compared to his others, it's wildly successful.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Bruce Willis brings a lot of, was it gravitas to the role?
Yeah.
But the dialogue wasn't terrible in that movie either. Now, admittedly, you had Haley Joel Osment at the best point in his career, because now he's
I don't know if
okay.
you've seen him lately.
He's okay, but
no, I mean, I think
he's still a good actor.
No, I think he's a good person. I mean, but he just doesn't look like a typical leading man actor anymore.
No. I think we were all surprised by that.
Yeah, I was when I find I've seen it in interviews and I go, oh, that is him. Wow, okay.
Okay. Yeah. But
yeah, another movie, The Siege, with Denzel Washington, and
I've seen it. I can't remember.
It's good.
Yeah,
it is good. Yeah. Speaking of Denzel Washington, the other night, it's a school night. I got to go to work the next day, but I stayed up and watched Man on Fire.
Oh man,
Dude,
such a good depressing movie.
It is. I can't. It is so good. I love Denzel's character in that, and Christopher Walken is in it.
Yep.
You know, I wouldn't put those two together as like old buddies that used to do stuff together, but it's like they sell it so well. You know,
you think that was kind of a precursor to his Equalizer series?
Maybe.
They kind of built off of an existing character.
I mean, he can do anything he wants. I mean, he's definitely got range. I mean, I just think back to Glory. It's like, yeah, dude can do anything. But yeah, man, that movie, you're right. It's actually depressing.
Oh, it's one of the saddest movies.
It is so sad, but it's that thing about sacrifice. Getting back to the theme with Victor. I'm probably gonna have to watch that movie because it's about sacrifice.
Sacrifice for somebody you have no knowledge or background with at all. It's just for the sake.
Well, I mean, he gets to know her.
Well, he does, but not enough to be like, I'm going to die for you. I mean, that's the moral of the story. Is like what?
Yeah, he hadn't known her very long for sure, but.
What level of love do you need for somebody to die for him? That's kind of a
right. Basically I guess what it's trying to say is you don't have to know somebody your entire life to realize I'm going to die for this person.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my life for this person. So, it's a very fundamental Christian thing that it's like you're going to die for somebody. But yeah, so that Bruce Willis, I just want to start off with him because man, it's total. I feel so bad for him. And his family. I mean, just get back to like Val Kilmer, seeing that you can kind of see it through because the thing is like his son narrating it, and it sounds just like him.
It did, and it was that was that was a tough one to get through.
It was. I couldn't sit down and watch the whole thing all the time.
And it hit him so fast, because he went through a very similar career track in the last few years. He took anything he could get, and I would argue that the stuff that Bruce Willis was doing was
recently it's bad.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But he was taking everything he could to make money for his family. I respect that.
Yeah.
And not prioritizing his legacy over his income.
Yeah.
But, moral of the story is there too that we see this with a lot of celebrities not being in the financial place we imagine they would be.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of that, Val Kilmer, all his stuff that he did recently was from a similar vein of needing to make money, but didn't get a lot of the stuff that Bruce Willis has done recently. I mean, it was going to Netflix. It may have been terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Val Kilmer stuff's going to like Tubi.
Yeah.
And,
I know.
and Chiller and all these like it's free if
Pluto
you want to watch,
TV.
It's free if you want to watch a crap load of ads.
Yeah.
Which I've always struggled with the concept. If I'm watching it free, how they make money, but whatever. I guess
it's advertising.
It's the ads. Yeah. I'm not even watching the ads. How are they making their money?
I know.
But there's that subset that are. So, yeah. But he went.
You could buy gold online, honey.
I bought this gold on Temu.
Yeah.
It's awful thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he's struggled in a similar way and just didn't have the. I don't know if Val Kilmer ever had this. He definitely never had the same star power that Bruce Willis did.
No.
I mean, he was Batman one time, which he was a good. This is probably going to be a point of contention.
Okay.
I think he was a good Batman. I think he was better than George Clooney Batman.
Yes, I will give you that.
He didn't have nipples.
I will give you that. That's right. Chicks dig the car line. I can't forgive him for that. But he didn't write it. He didn't write that line. I get it.
Yeah.
But no, I liked the. I think that's Batman Forever.
Yep.
I like Batman Forever. Probably. I might have even liked it better than Batman Returns.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably my second one.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
It's very rewatchable.
I can definitely rewatch it.
Yeah.
You take Batman, Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face. I just kind of got to push that off to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he is definitely not Harvey Dent.
Jim Carrey's the Riddler, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
they did get that. I mean, that's a natural fit. But yeah, him and you can't have. It's almost like he's trying to compete with a Joker. I mean, Riddler. I'm sorry. Harvey Dent was never one to compete with anybody. He was just doing his own thing. But when you got him, Tommy Lee Jones just is chewing the scenery in that movie. he is going for it.
Well, Tommy Lee Jones is a classically trained actor.
He does not
and
fit
Jim Carrey is not that dude. Jim Carrey's from In Living
that's what I'm
Color,
saying.
You know, so.
That's what I'm saying. When they hired him to play Harvey Dent, yeah, he's crazy, but half the time he's Harvey Dent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like he has to figure out what side is going to have
it's like oil.
Focus. It's like in a computer. Which side is focus?
It's like oil and water, and that oil really wants to stay on top.
Yeah, it does. You know, but sometimes the water, you know, can fight its way. But yeah, somebody is going to have focus. It's kind of like the movie. Getting back to Unbreakable, Split, where you know you got the guy with split personality. Which one has the what is it? He has the keys or whatever. I forget whatever the term.
What the term is.
Yeah, but whatever that lets them come to the forefront and speak.
Yeah.
So, you know. Yeah, so anyway, Harvey is not like over the top. He's crazy. Two-Face is crazy for sure, but he's not like that. You know. So
well, the old Batman, the pre-Christopher Nolan Batman, was
campy. Well, not even campy.
It was always intended to be campy, I think, because I think what they always try to do and what people negatively the people that don't like the new Batmans, you know, the Christopher Nolan Batman. Batfleck, which I personally enjoyed, but that's another topic.
Yeah.
I think you put the work in. Robert Pattinson.
I recently watched it again.
It's not terrible.
No,
it's different. It's different. But more or less, what we're getting to now in modern times is the grittiness of DC. DC has always been grittier than Marvel.
Yeah.
And before they tried to spin it a little bit to make it a little more family friendly, a little bit more campy. That's why Gotham was always just like Tim Burton-esque. And,
Gotham is its own character.
Nightmare Before Christmas kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that taking a character like Two-Face that, like you said, that's not Two-Face.
Yeah.
And making him kind of hammy and he fits the narrative of this jumping out, and like the Joker was never in the old ones was not Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger to me is the Joker.
Yeah.
And when they try to do it again, they're gonna have a hard time. But you know, the old Joker in all the cartoon series they've done, he's always like, hey, but that's not really what we see in the new age, and that's to me. I like the grittier side of it. That's what appeals to me about the DC universe in general, is that it's not like it usually doesn't work out well.
Right.
Everything Marvel, it always works out in the end eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happens in DC. Bad stuff happens. People die. You know. But anyway, so that part of it. But going back to Val Kilmer, because we segued over. I enjoyed him as Batman. I think he brought the suave to the role that's required on the Bruce Wayne side. My favorite movie from him is probably The Saint. You remember that movie?
Yeah, I watched it not long ago with what's that girl's name? Elizabeth Shue? What's that her name?
Are you doing a shameless name drop here in the middle of our podcast?
No, I'm just trying to remember what her name was. She was the girl in Adventures of Babysitting.
Yes. She was also in. More recently, she was in The Boys.
Yes, Elizabeth Shue.
Yes.
Yeah, she's in The Boys. Yeah,
she's in The Boys. She's Homelander's.
Yeah, boss.
Anyway.
Homelander's boss.
Yeah, boss.
Mom.
Around. Yeah. Provider.
Yeah.
Really good movie, in my opinion. We've watched it a bunch of times. It's one of those that, if it's on, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. Based on an old show.
Based on an old show. Yeah. It just kind of, once again, displays his range. And, Heat is always going to be real high on my list, too. Heat's in my top 5.
Of all time? Movies of all time?
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay.
I love Heat.
It'd probably be my top 25.
Well, you're...
Yeah.
Be the way you want to be. Now you'd have a lot of stuff in your top 25 that I'd be like, I've either never seen that or I'm like, that's the difference. So.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Father Goose?
Long time ago.
Yeah, that's in my top 10.
That wouldn't be in my top.
Yeah, that's in my top 10.
Top 50.
Yeah. but there's emotional connections to that and watching it with Big T.
Right, of course.
So anyway, but yeah, The Saint is a good movie.
Yeah,
it is. It's and here's what the problem is with most of these modern movies. The concept of The Saint is very, very narrowly focused, and they don't stray very far from it. They just do one thing and they do it well.
Yep.
Instead of trying to do all this other crap. So, yeah. And I like both people that are in it. I think they're both good actresses. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who directed that.
Oh Lord, I don't know.
Hold on. It seems like it was somebody kind of more famous.
Probably one of the mainstream '90s directors.
Philip Noyce. Maybe not.
Noyce.
Very Noyce.
You know,
oh yeah, he did a lot of the Patriot games, but he was
okay.
The Clinton President Danger, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that tracks. That style was definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I think the big problem that we see, or that I perceive in modern movies, is that you always know what's going to happen before you even start the movie.
Dude. Okay.
I didn't know what was going to happen at the end of the Saint when it started. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I go like, I don't know what's going on.
So, one thing I hate about modern movies is that they explain every freaking thing at nauseam. They just everything is explained. Nothing's left to the imagination.
Yeah, I don't have to interpret it all.
Yeah, nothing. It's like leave something for us. Like I'm not a Marvel fan, but I got drugged to see all these Marvel movies by everybody at church. But Infinity War, great movie. No. To me, that is almost the perfect movie going experience. It does everything it's supposed to do. At the end, it's like The Empire Strikes Back. It's like, what are we gonna do? It's like it ends on a bad note. Endgame, it's like, nah, they time traveled. Okay, yeah, they did time travel.
Well, we did a movie to tell you what's gonna happen in the next movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how can you follow up Infinity War with Endgame? And I'm sure it probably made more money.
The contract was up.
Dude. With that story, how can you go, well, let's just go do time travel? It's like, are you kidding me? If you've not ever seen Star Trek, do something else. Maybe those people just don't come back. Isn't this the end of this story?
Well, that ruins all these other spinoffs we're going to do that we don't know we've decided to do yet.
Yeah, I know. They couldn't just redo everything.
Because Blue Beetle was terrible.
Yeah. I didn't even see Blue Beetle. I'm a huge
I didn't
Blue Beetle
either.
fan.
My perceiving that it wasn't very good because it didn't do
well.
well.
I can tell you pretty much the story of Blue Beetle right now without even having
But
seen
I don't
it.
care.
Yeah, without even having seen it, I can tell you what's going to happen. Because all these origin stories are all the same. That's not to say they're not good, but it's like I already know what's going to happen.
I know, but we wore out all the major characters, and now everybody's like, I don't care about this little minor.
Yeah.
It's like give me Thor again.
Yeah.
So,
It's that is reflected in the sales of the comics because I don't know how many times they've rebooted Miss Marvel, or it's just nobody buys it.
Yeah.
Nobody buys these things. There was a good run of Blue Beetle back in the late '90s. It was really good. The story was excellent. Nobody bought it. It went like 40-some issues. I think I bought all 40 of them. It was a solid story. It was very good.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. And
there's only one surviving copy of me.
And I got them all.
Because I suck.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the DC database. Okay. I'm gonna get in the
most shows have got a guy.
I'm gonna get in the weeds here, man.
We need a guy. Hey, Jerome. Yeah. Hey,
I'm just trying to remember when it came out. It's not gonna tell me. It's all a bunch of junk on here. I hate the way they got this set up.
You gotta go to Wikipedia, man. Wikipedia.com.
It's where it's at,
It'll give you all the facts, man.
It's like
as interpreted by the users, dude.
The animated series shows all these things. Everything is all these little short movies now. Get back to comics, man.
Speaking of animated series, did you ever see the Batman Forever animated series? I think it's Batman Forever. I think that's what it was called. I think it was produced in... I can't remember if it was produced in China or Japan. Big in the 90s.
Is that the one where he's like old?
No, he's like a younger. It's like it's.
Batman Forever was the movie, bro.
I know, I'm getting it wrong. There was an animated series back in the 90s where it's like a kid that comes in that basically old Batman.
That's what it said, Batman.
He's got like a protege. It's not Robin though.
Yeah, hold on. Oh dang it! What you
know what I'm talking
yes,
about?
I do, and you're driving me freaking nuts.
I feel like it's Batman for a while.
Batman for a while. A while. Hold on.
It's not forever. It's Batman.
That doesn't come up with anything. That doesn't work at all.
Oh man.
Hold on.
You know what I'm talking about though.
Yeah, I do. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we can't. And yet we can't
Batman
find it.
Unlimited, Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Awesome series.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I would watch that again today. I need to look it up.
Yeah, it was
It
great.
was just a really solid all the way through. And I think it featured a lot of the original characters. I think they had Bane. I think they had...
Dude, okay. If you want something like that, you need to read Batman Year 100. It is one of the... It has a line in that comic book.
Geriatric Batman.
Dude, it has a line in that comic that has stuck with me. I've got it in the back of my brain. I hope I never forget it. It is such a good line. And basically, it's this doctor, and she's griping Bruce, that old Bruce. She's griping him out because of something he did, and she goes, I can't remember what precipitated, but she goes, let me tell you something. It was me who brought you back when you were a garbage bag at death's door. And it's like you're reading it going, oh my gosh. And she is reading him the riot act. And I can't remember what he did, and he deserved every bit of it. And she is just like, and he just, you can see him start shrinking in the story. And she just pointing at him, it's like just reading the riot act. And it's such a good line. You were a garbage bag at death's door, and I brought you back.
To which he responds, I'm Batman!
I'm Batman! No. Dude. If you've got it, I mean, if you like the older, more mature Bruce, this one it's really gritty too, and I think it's like 4 issues, something like that. I've got it somewhere, but it's so good. So yeah, Batman Beyond was good. The old Justice League cartoons, you know, that's back in the.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I remember watching that. I remember Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
All these things, it just. Small little things. Now everything is like so. It has to be this overarching event that I long for. This the one and dones. You know, it's like a single issue where it tells a story and you're done. You know, you don't have to read 16 different issues.
Going back to the movie topic, I long for. I hate who. I used to know who did it. I hate whoever did the first post credit scene.
Oh yeah.
I hate that person. I know why they did it. I hate it now. Ruins every single movie you go to because you have to wait. There's probably going to be one regardless.
Yeah.
It may be the most one-off movie ever.
Yeah.
That there's nothing left to do at the end, but it's going to have a post-credit scene.
I know.
And the movies that you never thought would ever have any.
It's like a trailer at the
continuity value. Yeah, basically. The movies definitely should not go on, are always the ones that do.
Yeah.
It's. You know, it's more exciting to me to see something where a director comes out and says, this is going to be part 1 of 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally am very excited about Mike Flanagan getting attached to the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
Yeah.
Which I know you've not read.
No. I don't know who Mike Flanagan is.
You don't know Mike Flanagan?
Well, I don't know it.
I mean, he's like Midnight Mass on Netflix. Multiple different series on there. He's horror based.
Did see him. Maybe I have. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you didn't.
Hold on. Let me Google Batman for a while. Hold on a second.
Google Batman for a while. But he's an excellent attachment to that series, and it's, you know, the idea of taking something that is, you know, 9, 10, 11 books. I forget now because it took me a better part of a year to read the series.
Yeah.
And each book is 800 to 1,100 pages long. Just depends, because it's Stephen King. They're just all really long. And I think the first few weren't quite that long anyway. But to take something that's, you know, kind of his magnum opus and take it and convert it into a TV series with a movie follow-up, so that we can blow out something that was previously attempted to do in one movie.
Yeah.
With Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And Idris Elba.
Yeah.
You know, it's an entertaining movie in its own right. And I love Idris Elba. But the character of the gunslinger in that series is Clint Eastwood. Yeah. Obviously, Clint Eastwood is way too old to do this, but it's going to have to be somebody like... It's not Idris Elba. I'm sorry. And he didn't do a terrible job for what he was given. He did well with the material he was given. Matthew McConaughey for that role as Randall Flagg, which, you know, you've seen The Stand, the old series. Mm-hmm. Randall Flagg is the Man in Black in the Gunslinger series, the Dark Tower series. So if you can picture what you saw as Randall Flagg in The Stand being Matthew McConaughey in this alternate version of reality, not really.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, the guy that was cast in The Stand, I have no idea what his name was. He was good for the movie if you know nothing about any of the context of any of the other books.
Yeah.
Which all of Stephen King's books tie back to that series, which is really impressive.
Okay, before you go on, Random Flag and The Stand.
Yes.
It was like a TV thing.
Yeah, it's like a miniseries.
Okay, so you know who Random Flag reminded me of?
Who?
I'm gonna mute this because it's a personal person. Danny. Danny Jones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't say it anymore. But yeah, that's who it reminds me of, and nobody else listening to this will know what I'm talking about. But that every time
I don't think you have to mute that. There's no context.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's who it reminds me of. I don't know why.
The denim.
It was the denim. It was the denim, baby.
Denim on denim.
It was the denim on denim.
The Jay Leno of
it's
demons.
Like it's the Danny Stark back. Yeah.
Denim, Marlboro's.
I got my denim underwear on.
Denim, Marlboro's Bronco, and
yeah,
Infidelity. But anyway,
Infidelity. Yeah.
So
I got my denim socks on.
These socks are rigid. Man, they shrink it up.
they do. My feet are getting bigger or something.
They're getting bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's going off the rails, man.
Talk about a segue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that original.
But yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Movies in general, just no. There's nothing there.
Yeah. I mean,
and yet we try to stretch it into 3.
Yeah, I know. Well, think about The Hobbit.
Yeah.
You know, would you rather have 9 Lord of the Rings movies and 3 Hobbit movies, or would you have, you know what I mean? Which they stretched The Hobbit out over 3 movies.
It needed to be stretched.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, did The Lord of the Rings need to be stretched more?
Man, to get everything in, you'd have had to, but you would have lost.
Yeah.
You would have lost your audience.
Yeah.
Because what kept people in the Marvel movies, the Avengers series, was that the whole series wasn't a compendium of all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't all of them every single time.
Yeah.
You know, we had 3 Iron Man movies. We had
3 or 4 Thor movies.
Yeah, but before the end of it, I think we had Thor, we had the Dark World, which was terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't very good. Love and Thunder, I think, came out.
It was Ragnarok.
Love and Thunder came out.
Ragnarok,
that's right. So
Which was
Ragnarok
good.
did come out before the end of the
Yep.
series,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there was 3 of those. But the point is, they had time to develop all these individual characters, and they wouldn't have done that in Lord of the Rings because they were all together all the time.
Right.
You know, The Hobbit was the same way. What I feel like they did, I feel like they did a disservice to, because they didn't have enough time for as big as those books were. You know, they cut stuff out. They didn't have enough time to really expand on how long they were all on the road.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you look at it and, the comment that everybody makes, it's like, why don't they just fly the Eagles out there?
Yeah.
And I remember there's a reason, and I
Yeah.
remember that there's a reason. I couldn't quote it to you now, and it makes sense when you read it. But it's like, but yeah, everybody thinks the same. But the main reason is it'd be a really short freaking story if they just flew them out. So I got to come up with a reason not to be able to send them out there that way.
Right.
But they spent in the books, they spent weeks getting through Mordor and through the Orc territories. We see one scene they're looking over a rock.
Yeah.
And they're just all spread out. And then all of a sudden, they're up on the side of Mount Doom.
Yeah.
That took weeks.
Yeah.
Of them. What do those weeks look like? They would look terrible on screen.
Yeah, yeah.
They'd be like, this is the most boring crap ever.
Mm.
But what you lose in that is a lot of the dialogue.
A lot of characterization.
Relationship building and all that. And honestly, what I think that lends itself to in a short time frame over 3 movies is what everybody makes jokes about. It makes the relationship between Samwise and Frodo look gay.
Yeah, yeah.
They look real, but they're brothers, dude. I mean, they're as tight as you can be because they've gone through
so much.
We've been through the stuff together, man. We've been in the trenches, and they have for weeks on end. They've been going through life or death conditions.
Yeah,
they're really close.
Yeah,
and it also really in that 3rd movie. They really accelerated.
It was fast.
His the weight of the ring on him.
It was.
I'm getting closer, so it's getting really it's weighing on you because you've been wearing it for so several months.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just rewatched it all recently.
And there's a whole scene. I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen the Hobbit movies as much as I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah. I watched them just recently too. I finished up Battle of Fire Army like yesterday.
I'm trying to remember. Do they have a really solid scene when they get together in The Hobbit? I know they get together at Bilbo's house and all that, but they don't really do much at the Green Dragon Inn. Or do they even go to the Green Dragon?
I don't even think they went there.
I don't think they do, and that was a huge part of the book.
Yeah.
They have this big long thing where they kind of roll up. It reminds me of some of our old like D&D stuff.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like when we're getting the characters together, because it inevitably always started out at a bar or a tavern or an inn or something like that. Like, oh, so and so sitting up at the bar, and this straggly character walks in. And like, and what do you do? You know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then we all end up meeting or whatever. But that's exactly how they met initially.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's how I think that's what they changed. Because it's been like 20 years since I've read all the books. And I read The Hobbit before I read the Lord of the Rings, so it was even further back. But they completely reconfigured that into that scene where they're in the house and all the dwarves are there, and it's just like, oh, we're just making a big mess, and we're throwing plates around, doing all this weird stuff. And it was just it was a lot more organic, but it was really drawn out too. There was a lot of conversation. And, you know, they did what they could to make it palatable for people to watch it.
Yeah.
You know, very similar to what they did with Game of Thrones. I've not read all those books. I've read some of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just follow the source material to the letter, or it's boring to watch. It's fun to read, but very boring to watch.
Right.
So, anyway.
Yeah, like the scene in the very first part of An Unexpected Journey, where the dwarves are in his house, throwing the place around and everything, and then he gets back at the very end of the Battle of Five Armies, and they're basically have this auctioning off all his stuff, and he walks in there finally alone, and the house is ransacked, and he just looks at it, and he's remembering that time when the dwarves were there and just tore up his house and wishing that they were there with him again. You know, I'm kind of reading into that, but it's an inference I'm allowed to make because they don't come out and say, "Wish the dwarves were here." You know, that there's that they don't put that there, but you can figure it out. You know, again, getting back to that part. But yeah, I feel like in you know, as a kind of amateur writer, you got to figure these things out, and you think, how is this gonna play out if this was like in real life? Getting back to dialogue, does it sound natural when we say it? Why wouldn't they just fly the eagles there? You know, it's like you got to figure all these things out. And I feel like so many times in movies, like I don't know if you saw, Sam Raimi did it, the last Marvel movie, the Doctor Strange. Did you see it?
I did.
Okay. He's in the little orchard thing with
Scarlet Witch.
Mm-hmm. And there's multiple universes, right? Why would he just say there's a multiverse? Somewhere out there is a world where you died and your kids are alive. Let's go find them. Let's go rescue them. I'll take you to them. The end. I mean, it's like, why in the world would you do that? There's got to be a reason why. Yeah. Why would you not just do that? You offer her everything she wants. Nothing in that movie made sense.
Yeah, I personally, that was a fail by Sam Raimi.
So much that movie is like, this is for people that never saw my other movies. Yeah. I'm gonna put all this other stuff because it's cut scene. It's just like that's from Army of Darkness. That's from Evil Dead 2. Yeah. That's from Evil. You know, it's like it's all that. The Black Panther movie. Mm-hmm. The second one.
Not saying it.
Okay. There's a scene in there where I can't remember her name. She's the sister that's real smart and everything. Where she realizes if she leaves this one place, she's being held captive, and somebody comes in to rescue her. She goes, and somebody's hurt. One of the people that kidnapped her. But she's kind of starting to form this relationship with their leader, and you know she got put back in her cell, and they're going to talk again tomorrow. But as the rescuers come in, they injure one of the people that's supposed to be guarding her. That's basically just serving her food, right? Yeah. And she goes, I can't leave. I got to save her. She goes, we got to get out right now. She goes, you don't understand. If I leave, it will be war between our two peoples. Cut scene. Next scene, she's back there, her mom, hugging her mom. Yeah, Mom, I'm back. You know, I was like, dude, you just said if you leave, it's going to be war. Guess what the last half of that movie is? It's a giant war. It's like, why in the world? She's supposedly the smartest person, and she is on the verge of making this union with this guy and making it to where they can work together to solve their problems. And what does she do? She leaves.
Don't take for granted the urge to go poop. Okay, sometimes you got to go take a poop.
Dude, man, I need home field advantage.
I'll be
for this
right
one,
back.
Dude, I mean, I just know myself, and I need my own toilet for this one, dude.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
I gotta go home.
Yeah,
I wish you the best.
yeah, I'll just hang on, hold your breath. So, it's like, dude, these movies are so dumb, and I'm thinking I was into it up to that point. It was actually a pretty good movie. The way they handled the I can't remember his name.
Chad Boseman.
The original Black Panther?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I was thinking of somebody else. But yeah, okay. The way they handled his
That's why I
death
didn't
scene.
see it, because
Yeah, the way they handled that was really cool. The way it was, it was really good. I mean, I thought, hey man, they kind of worked that into the world. It's like this is a very nice tribute, but it makes sense in the movie, and I thought it was done very well. And I was going, dude, I'm into this. I'm kind of into this movie a little bit because I like the first Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great, but I liked it.
Yeah.
But the minute she left, I go, I'm done with this movie. I'm done. And I knew exactly what was going to happen. I can just see it. All these things, the structure, what has to happen here, they've got to do this. And it's like beat, and the end. It's like, I was done.
Well, I mean, we can knock the developers, the directors, the producers, whatever, for trying to make a viable product. But I mean, ultimately, we have to blame ourselves for having the attention span of a gnat. Because I mean, the majority of us do. And the majority of us don't want to work very hard to figure out the story. And I'm not implying that I'm always the type that wants to be super analytical when I sit down and watch a movie. Sometimes I just want to enjoy
it. It is to my detriment, but I am.
Well,
I wish I could turn it off.
What I have learned is that when I do that all the time, I'm probably going to be disappointed most all the time.
Yeah.
But there are certain things I'll allow myself to do that because I think they deserve that level of scrutiny, that level of breakdown. Mm-hmm. It's like this should live up to my expectations. If it doesn't, then shame on them.
Yeah.
Now there's other movies I'm like, I shouldn't bring that into this because ultimately this wasn't made for somebody like me that wants to dissect things, because not necessarily everybody wants to do that. And I'm by no means implying that being that type of person is the ideal way to be. I think it's a detriment to myself and yourself to be that way.
Yeah.
I think you're much more inclined to be a good consumer of media when you're not so harsh on things, because you're definitely more open to being like, I just enjoy this for what it is.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the less I want to be disappointed.
Right.
So that doesn't mean I necessarily just want to take everything and be like, oh, this is great just because it's here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm paying to go see this. I'm going to try to enjoy it. If I can't enjoy it, then it's really terrible.
Yeah.
But if I can find a way to enjoy it, take something out of it, then I should try to do that.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying. I'd like to say I feel
I chose to come here. I should try to enjoy this.
I sometimes I do. Okay, I don't consume media the same way other people consume media. I grew up reading comic books.
Right.
I know how comic books are. I realize as I read a comic book, I go, if they were going to do this in a movie, there is a lot of holes to fill in here.
Absolutely.
They'd have to do others.
You have to assume context between panels.
Yeah, you do. Book, yeah. And sometimes there's days almost. So, but in the same regard, these people are spending $150 million or more making these movies, and they take them seriously. These aren't like Batman Forever. These are not campy movies. They're taking it seriously. But when something happens and the character violates one of their core tenets, dude, it takes me out of the movie, and I realize I'm watching a movie. It is the cardinal sin of all movie-going experiences.
So your version of the optimal experience is always going to be an immersion.
Yes.
I have to be...
Well, unless it's like Blazing Saddles.
I have to exist in this.
Like Young Frankenstein. Blazing Saddles,
no.
Top Secret. I know I'm watching Top Secret. But if I'm in a movie with a story... If I'm in a movie with a story...
I have to be able to picture that I can exist in this world.
Yeah. Well, some movies are like that. Not all movies.
Yeah, some.
Like Lord of the Rings.
They're few and far between, though. That's the point.
Well, the problem is these movies try to be that.
But they are that to some people. That's what I'm
saying.
That's the rub.
And they could be.
Here's another game. But we have to avoid... We always have to avoid... a attempting to be the elitist that thinks my way of doing it is better than everybody else.
Dude, you got to see this movie, and you agree. You agree with me because when she does this, it's like, I can't leave. She'll die. Next scene is, oh, Mom. It's
I've seen that 1,000 times.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's like
you see characters contradict themselves all the time, but it lends itself to the story.
Yeah, because we want to have a big fight scene at the end.
Agreed, but I mean,
but that's not what she wanted.
But you knew that's what was going to happen when you started watching the movie.
No, I knew. No,
you knew what was going to happen in Black Panther.
No.
When you started watching the second Black Panther, you were not thinking Chad Boseman dies. Black Panther.
I know there's going to be some conflict then.
And then they just they build up their natural gas production in Wakanda.
No. Dude, I don't have a problem with them having a big fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
But the way you get there, you could say there's like she comes in and she's like this, and they come in. She was trying to save her, but they think she killed her. It's like a totally misunderstanding, and that leads to it. That's fine, but you don't leave a person that's dying. When your whole thing is healing people and making things right. Her whole character is this thing.
It's lazy writing. Yeah,
dude, sure. It is it's almost like they didn't have any idea what the character was. Yeah. How can I, as a DC fanboy who has railed against Marvel for years, understand your characters better than you do? I mean, I'm just a casual moviegoer. I got drugged to see this movie. I didn't want to go see it.
Don't take for granted that's a totally different mindset between. I think that's where DC has struggled. I think it's a totally different mindset between DC and Marvel, is that DC tries, not necessarily successfully, but tries to pander to their actual comic fan base. Mm-hmm. Whereas Marvel just tries to get people with big flashy.
Yeah.
And I've never read the comic books, but I think the characters are cool.
Yeah.
And as a person who, I've never been into comic books. You grew up with it. Mm-hmm. I was never exposed to it at a young age.
Yeah.
So I never got into it. But do I think the character on both sides? Am I going to lean towards one on one side or the other? Sure.
Yeah.
Do I think that they did a really good job with Marvel of taking these characters that were, not gritty, not, really didn't have a bad side? DC. I mean, Batman's got a dark side, right?
Well, Iron Man does. He's got a drinking history.
But they stay away from that, right?
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is they take these happy, feel-good characters and they put them all together and make it flashy and, just kind of develop a little bit of story for them. And, man, they're good.
Yeah.
And that's enough for people to feel like, okay, I'm kind of immersed in this environment now. I kind of get it. Maybe I might try reading the comic books. And that just spurs that part of the business.
Yeah.
And then we got the merchandising and we got all this other stuff. And we can spin these characters off. And then now we got the multiverse. So we can just do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And we can do anything we want now. Doesn't have to follow canon. We don't have to follow any of the stuff that came before. And that's genius.
Yeah, it made a lot of money.
Because I would argue 90% of the population that works.
Yeah.
And the other 10% are like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not what I want. It's not what I expect.
I was with them up until Infinity War. I was right there with them. I'd have been in there going, yeah, I want to see Endgame now.
Yeah.
But I saw Endgame, I was like, really?
Yeah.
We're going to time travel? I don't know. Again, I consume media differently. Everybody consumes it differently, but getting back to, I don't know, so one of the more recent Jurassic Park movies, I think it might have been the second one.
Oh, God, they're terrible.
I know, they are there. But
not for trying, they're just terrible.
Yeah, well, what's the one, Jurassic World?
Sure.
Where they go back. Shoot, now you're going to make me look it up.
I know there's Dominion, there's a couple of them I ain't even seen yet.
Okay.
The next one's got Scarlett Johansson, I'm probably going to watch that one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Jurassic World 2. Okay.
Jurassic World 2.
This is the one where they have the auction at the end where they move this ultimate, raptor thing.
Yeah.
And they're auctioning it off. And at the very end, okay, at the very end, basically something like there's all these dinosaurs being kept under there for this auction. And this little girl has this opportunity to kill them all. Or they're going to be released. Because there's this timer counting down, and all the things are going to open up because they're going to lose power, and all the doors are going to open, and they're going to escape. And the girl says, and they're trying to get, she goes, do it, hit the button, you're like, kill them, they're going to get out, and because they're in the city. They're in the freaking city. And the girl's sitting there going, no, they deserve to be free. And they just all go out and start killing people. It's like, it was like I can't remember what, I think it's like a gas leak or something like that, So, and it's like, what? She had an opportunity there to really make a tough decision, but she goes, no, they need to be free. Dude, they're freaking dinosaurs. They're going to kill people. They had their time. You know?
Okay, so this brings me to my segue of I hate kids in movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be done right, but most time not.
I got children. I love them. Hate kids in movies. My prime example to everybody I ever talk to. I feel bad for this guy because he sticks in my brain as being that kid. Is when they adapted War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
I never saw that.
Okay.
Should I?
It was not a bad movie. I would recommend watching
Okay.
it. It was not a bad movie, in my opinion. Now, I do not know the name of the kid. It was his teenage son, and it was Dakota Fanning as his daughter. Of course, him and his wife are estranged. He works as one of those crane operators at like a port. You know, he picks the big containers up off the ships or whatever. This is like, I don't know if it's Seattle or feels like Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure. I forget. And he works a lot of hours. Movie starts out. He's at work. He's late to get home. You know, he's got the kids for the weekend. He goes outside after having a little run-in with the wife, who's now pregnant with the new husband. You know, so we're building all the angst between all these people. Gets both the kids. They come up in his little, 2-story duplex, walk up. And he gets the kid. I think Robbie was his name. They get him out back, and they're throwing the ball around. Maybe it was... Crap, I can't remember what baseball team they're talking about different teams and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They're throwing the ball around, right? Robbie's, talking smack the whole time, being a typical 14, 15, whatever he's supposed to be, when he's probably actually like 25 years old.
Yeah.
And so they go through all this, and of course, aliens start coming. So if I remember right, they pop up out of the ground, and they start doing the typical... typical tall, shiny aliens walking around, shooting lasers, disintegrating people. But anyway, they go through all this. But the whole freaking movie, this kid almost gets him killed 15 different times because he's just like, I'm not going to listen to you, Dad. I don't care if it's the end of the world, Dad.
Yeah.
I know better than you. And it's one of those things, like, I am the type of person, if I'm watching a movie and I see a dude hitting on a hot chick, and he's doing it just in a really cringe-worthy manner,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there going,
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
It just kind of hurts me to watch it. Like, I don't want to watch it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think everybody's like that. I don't think that bothers everybody. But to me, it's just really, like, I kind of internalize that. I'm like, I feel it for that guy.
Yeah, some dudes are probably going, dude, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. All right.
Got some moves.
Like, I internalize that, and it makes me physically uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel when I watch this kind of stuff, because it's like, they always portray the kid. Of course, we got to portray the kids to where they don't listen to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard to watch something like that. And just like you said with Jurassic World, be like, somebody at some point would have stepped in and said, hey, whack.
Yeah.
Like, this is the end of the world, dude. I'm not going to take this crap anymore. Or somebody, that kid would have been right there saying that, and somebody would have stepped up and said, no, that's not happening.
If that had been my kid, I go, I'm going to beat your rear end if you hit that button. Gas him. I'm not kidding. Let that gas get him.
I'm telling you right now, if you do that, you're dead to me. Well,
Yeah.
I'm like, we're done. Don't do it.
I'm going to feed you to one of them dinosaurs. What I'm going to do.
I'm going to tell you how bad this is going to work out for you.
But it can be done right, and Newt is a great example of that. Because Newt does what she's freaking told.
Yep.
And she's helpful.
Uh-huh.
She has information that they need.
They mostly come out at night.
They mostly. We could better get back.
No.
It's gonna be dark soon. Get straight ahead and left. She's like in the bench going, yes, this. She is helpful. Because she's been there. She has information they don't have.
You know why? Because parents aren't around.
I know. I'm stuck with these guys right
Kids
here.
are always great when their parents aren't around.
And she's like, she instantly says, well, not instantly, but man, that scene when they're in the med bay and the face surgery attacking them and the Marines bust in,
Mm-hmm.
and she's sitting there holding one like this. She goes, Hudson! It's like, get over here and kill this thing. She's almost one of them, She is fully invested in, like, we're in this together. But she's not the focus of what's going on. She plays her role, and that's why it is most of the time there's kids involved in a movie, unless it's like Spy Kids or something like that. It's like, this is gonna not be good.
Yeah, but the kids aren't always a detriment to storyline.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have to be.
So
most
why
of
they
them
choose to make them that way? It's a very frustrating plot point.
Well, I think we gotta have conflict between the parents, and why?
Why?
It's the end of the world. Like, what should everybody
Parents are not going to watch a movie to see that crap. They deal with that all the time.
Oh.
If anything, they want to be like, oh, the kids are unusually
really
compliant.
helpful.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah. No, they'll take them out of the movie.
It's more fantastical that way, but well, this must be a fantasy movie.
Yeah, it must be fantasy. Yeah. It must not be real. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. When movies do something that make me realize I'm watching a movie, they have fundamentally failed at what they were attempting to do. Because movies should be an escape.
Well, they call that breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, something like that. Anything that does that, like Bruce Willis did it a lot in his movie. He'd look at the camera and go, "Okay." Like he did it in Moonlighting a lot. Yep. You know, he'd look at the camera and he'd go, "You wink at the camera like that." It's like you're watching a show. You know, or. I can't remember. They were on this roof somewhere. They'd been sneaking around this mansion or something like that. They got on the roof. They're going to jump off into the pool. Him and Sybil Shepherd. So he's taking off his top, taking his clothes off. He's got this T-shirt on. I can't remember what it says. It's a funny saying. She goes, "What is wrong with you?" It's like, hey, it's what I had. You know. So, yeah, that breaking the fourth wall. But it's not like saying, you know. Something that's like a wink and a nod to something else. It can be something that like the character does something they should not do. You have built this character up to be the person that always finds the third way. You got this and this. Well, I'm gonna find the third way. Let's just do this. Whatever. No, they wouldn't do that. Especially when war is on the line in Black Panther. So I'm saying it's like there's always something happens. But when the movie comes along, where that does not happen. And it grabs you, and it pulls you through the story, like The Prestige, where you get at the very end. It's like, what?
I was genuinely surprised by that,
dude. I saw the end of that movie, and I go, I want to see this movie again right now. I want to start watching it again right now. Yeah, just pick it apart. I said, there's something in here that I missed. That was a clue that it's going to make everything fall into place, and I missed it. It was so subtle, but it was brilliant.
Ironically. Around the same time, there was a movie came out that Edward Norton did that was The Illusionist.
The Illusionist, yeah.
Pure Set. Mm-hmm. Not a similar twist. Mm-hmm. Similar kind of feel to it, which is weird. Yeah. They did, because that was something that doesn't happen now. The 90s were always like a movie came out with a counterpart.
Yeah, Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
I mean, Deep Impact.
Armageddon and Deep Impact came out at the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I mean, there was always like competing factors for the same feeling, not necessarily the same storyline.
Yeah. It's been comic book movies for so long now.
Well, I mean, but there's lots of. That's just it. There's lots of other movies that come out, and the culture and the way we consume media at home is impacting that because a lot of us don't ever. I never see commercials, so I don't know what's coming out.
Yeah.
Unless I see it on Facebook or if I'm reading news on Google or something like. I don't see it.
Did you ever see Rebel Moon?
Yeah.
I didn't. So would you say that was a comparative storyline to Dune or something like that? Kind of the same feel?
Not even.
Okay. I didn't watch it.
Not compared at all.
Yeah. Is it trying to go for the same audience though?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we can discuss that more if you want to.
Yeah.
But no, totally different.
Okay. No, I just throw it out there.
Yeah. But the way we consume media, I don't see advertisements for anything. My kids don't see ads for toys.
Mm-mm.
So Christmas time, putting a list together is hard.
Yeah.
But when I know that there are other movies coming out, other than Marvel movies, but what I know is coming out is new Marvel movies because they allude to it in every Marvel movie they do.
Yeah.
There's a post-credit scene, so you're like, oh, that's probably a movie that's coming. I don't know if there's been many times they did that and it didn't materialize.
Right.
There's been a couple.
I guess maybe so. Yeah.
There's been a couple that it didn't like.
Or they just kind of.
There was I'm trying to remember which movie it was at the end of, but it alluded to. What's that new series they got with the guy that's Moon Knight?
Moon Knight, yeah.
There was Moon Knight and another character they alluded to at the end of one of the movies, and the character that was going to play him was actually Kit Harington from Game of Thrones, and that never materialized. Yeah, it went away. Yeah. I can't remember which movie it came into, but it's like every once in a while,
the Eternals or something like that. Nobody saw.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to. So that's the new news. They're going to try, because the Eternals did so badly, and it could have been better, but it did badly. Yeah. But in the Eternals, they kill Tiamat. Is his name? The big celestial or whatever they kill. Yeah. Anyway, well, he's like halfway birthed out of the earth, so it's kind of hard to explain. He's just kind of coming up out of the ocean, like, there's a new mountain over there.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, so I killed him by putting my hand on him and holding it down. But anyway.
Yeah.
But they're trying to explain that adamantium came from Tiamat.
Yeah.
So, Tiamat, the Eternals will be the genesis of Wolverine getting his adamantium, because they were trying to figure out how they were going to introduce Wolverine into the MCU, because adamantium, there's no, in the original comics, I think it was like synthesized by some scientist or whatever. Yeah. And they were going to have to be like, well, maybe we're going to have to do it with vibranium instead. Anyway. So they're exploring that stuff.
And also, vibranium, dumb name. I get it, but it's dumb.
I don't know. I think aluminium's a weird name.
That's Latin, James.
Which side of the pond you're on? It's aluminium.
No, vibranium is not a real thing. It's a dumb name. Anyway, I just thought of that.
That's fair.
Again, when I hear vibranium, I go, I'm watching a movie. It takes me out of it.
That's kind of like the Avatar joke where it's like, oh, unobtainium, is that relatively hard to obtain? So,
Avatar again. It's Lawrence of Arabia and Dance with the Wolves. It's the same story over and over again. That's what I hate about these. Like Endgame, we're just going
Avatar should have been one movie.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even see the first. I've already seen it. I saw it back in the 90s when I saw Dance with the Wolves. I've already seen this movie. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, but they weren't blue.
That's true, they weren't. I think that's probably a good place to end this, the stupidity of vibranium. I think that brings us around from Bruce Willis to vibranium. That's it. That's
an interesting arc. Yeah.
Yeah. So just tell your friends if you like Bruce Willis and you hate vibranium. This is the podcast for you. This is it. Forsake all other podcasts. Anyway, appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see you in the next one. James, say bye.
My name is Jeff.